California Governor Gavin Newsom just completely outsmarted and outplayed Donald Trump and, quite frankly, his entire incoming administration. Now, the background might look a little bit different right now because I'm on the road again. I'm in Nashville to debate some MAGA lunatics. You'll see a video on that soon. I'm very excited to discuss it more. But I wanted to talk about this story because it's so important. And I think that other Democratic governors around the country and Democratic states should be following Gavin Newsom's lead here. So we have this Politico article. The headline is Gavin Newsom and California Democrats reach $50 million deal to Trump-proof the state, protect the state from Donald Trump's incoming administration because, Donald Trump is going to go after a lot of the things that California prioritizes, along with other Democratic states and what they prioritize. The article says California Democrats have reached a $50 million agreement to shore up state and local legal defenses against the incoming Trump administration just a week ahead of his inauguration. This move is the first of its kind in the nation that positions California to lead a second-term resistance against Donald Trump. And I really like that this is the way it played out. There are so many different amazing Democratic governors out there, like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, of course, a very Democratic state. You have Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, who I love. They're fantastic. But California, for some reason, always really gets under the skin of Republicans. So I'm glad that Gavin Newsom is taking this first step just to annoy the Republicans just a little bit more. I'm never opposed to that. The deal includes $25 million that Newsom had proposed for the State Department of Justice to fight the federal government in court shortly after Donald Trump's reelection in November, plus an additional $25 million more proposed by the state Senate leaders to defend immigrants against deportation, detention, and wage theft. The $25 million proposed by the Senate would fund grants for legal nonprofits and immigration support centers. Now, that's fantastic. We know what Donald Trump is planning to do on day one. He wants to roll back environmental regulation. He wants to target immigrants. And specifically, he's made it clear that these blue states, like California, he will use the federal government and the Department of Justice to go after their state policy, wrap them up in court, and make it harder for them to do so and to implement the policy that they'd like to, even if it's not necessarily proper. Donald Trump has never followed the rules, doesn't care about the rules, doesn't care about what's legal or not. So having this fund ready, being prepared for the insanity, the chaos that is inevitably going to come out from the Trump administration is good. And as I mentioned, I think that other Democratic governors in New York, in Illinois, in Pennsylvania, Michigan, wherever, should be looking at this as well, because nothing's off the table for Donald Trump. The Senate budget chair said of California and the Democratic Party said this funding agreement cements California's readiness to serve as a bulwark against Trump's extremist agenda. And I totally agree. The floor votes on the so-called special session package could come as soon as this week, which would give Gavin Newsom enough time to sign the deal before Donald Trump's inauguration. Now, of course, Republicans are very unhappy about this and not stoked about the move that Gavin Newsom made here. They've given some nasty quotes in the media. The Assembly Minority Leader, James Gallagher, who's a Republican in California, said in response to this, quote, "At a time when California should be laser focused on responding to the devastating wildfires in LA, Democrat lawmakers' priority is creating a $50 million slush fund to hire government lawyers for hypothetical fights against the federal government and to defend undocumented migrants from being returned to their home countries." Now, that statement is as MAGA as it gets. It's crazy to see how even state leaders in the Republican Party have just had MAGA infused into their brains. It's crazy. That sounds like a Trump Truth Social post right there. So I suppose the Republicans will eat that up. But what this guy doesn't understand is that California has been doing both. Trump-proofing the state of California, protecting them from the chaos that is Donald Trump and the insanity that he's going to usher in on day one is important. But California has also been passing bills, approving funding for fighting these devastating wildfires and the recovery efforts. So I don't understand why these Republicans are of the view that only one thing can be done at a time when Democrats in California are showing just how efficient they can be. They can do multiple things at once. They can protect the rights of millions of people in their state, which they should be doing. They can be protecting the environment in their state, which they should be doing, while simultaneously working incredibly hard on the recovery efforts from these devastating wildfires. And I encourage people to just look at Gavin Newsom's social media pages, look at the governor's office, look at what they're talking about, look at the recovery efforts they're discussing. First of all, Gavin Newsom has been doing a terrific job of fact-checking a bunch of people, such as the claim that he confiscated Starlink modems or, that they're conditioning disaster aid and things like that. But you get simple updates like this. For example, from the Governor Newsom Twitter account, 11 new fires broke out overnight, but all were extinguished thanks to pre-positioning efforts. That's just one example of some of the things that Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats are doing in response to these fires, along with billions of dollars of new funding. Gavin Newsom just introduced $2.5 billion in additional funding to fund more recovery efforts, to reopen schools that have been damaged by the wildfires or shut down by the wildfires. But Republicans aren't talking about that. And you would hope in a tragedy like this, Republicans wouldn't be making it political. They wouldn't be saying, oh, the Democrats are doing this, which means that they're not fighting the wildfires. You would hope that Republicans would be dedicating their time to saying, hey, this is not a moment for politics. This is a moment for unity. This is a moment for accurate information to make sure that the people who are affected are getting what they need and getting the information they need. But the Republicans are not doing that. They're issuing these statements saying, oh, Gavin Newsom this, Gavin Newsom that, Democrats this, Democrat that. It is infuriating, it's frustrating, it's disheartening, it's depressing to see how a tragedy, something that should be uniting the American people, has been turned into a political game, has been turned into a divisive power for the Republicans, something that they are using to fundraise and attack Democrats. It's gross. But thankfully, Gavin Newsom is doing both. And they're working incredibly hard to do that. So I think it's safe to say that Gavin Newsom has outplayed, outwitted, outsmarted Donald Trump with this move. It's not to say that everything is surefire and that Donald Trump won't be successful in challenging some of these things, but Gavin Newsom is ready. These Democrats, Newsom and other Democratic governors around the country, are not backing down. They are prepared for the fight, which I love to see. You know, after the election, I think it was really easy to feel down and feel like nothing's going to go our way and nothing's going to change. But it's good to see that Democratic leaders across the country, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, Governor Newsom in California, these amazing leaders have not given up. They're ready to fight. They're on the front lines of that fight to protect people, to protect us, to protect our rights. It's really impressive to see. And I hope we see more of it. That's the only way we combat Trump. Nobody combats Trump by sitting down. Nobody combats Trump by sitting on the sidelines. You combat Trump by getting out there and taking it to him, not letting him take it to you. So great to see from Governor Gavin Newsom, and I imagine we'll see things similar to this in other Democratic states very soon. So anyway, I just wanted to talk to you about the story, give you some updates here. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for subscribing, watching, and liking. Make sure to do all of those things down below. And of course, comment on the video. Let me know what you think about all this. I always love hearing from you folks. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.